Hello friend, welcome back. Today we are making 4 salads that are not a lettuce-based salad, and they're high protein packed salads that can all be prepped and ready to go for you when you need easy lunches or easy dinners. And the first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and fill a pot up with some water so we can poach our chicken. 2 of them are going to be chicken-based, 1 of them is going to be vegetarian, and 1 of them is going to be a salami and pepperoni base, and I'm really looking forward to that one. So I've got just a big stock pot here that I'm going to fill up with water. I don't know about where you are, but where I live, the weather is shifting and we're getting nicer and nicer days. And when this time of year comes around, I really just want crunchy, fresh vegetables, light and flavor-packed meals, and these are going to pack a punch and they should deliver on that. So the first thing I want to do is actually poach my chicken so that we can have that cooking while we work on our vegetarian one and basically it's a grinder sandwich that we're going to turn into a salad that is going to be so good. So into my pot, I've got about 3 pounds of chicken breasts, and I'm just gonna put these into the pot. So I'm gonna toss these, wash my hands, and then we're gonna season that water up. This chicken that we're poaching here is going to be for a BLT chicken salad that you could eat just on its own, or you could serve it over lettuce when you go to eat it. And it's also gonna be for a Thai peanut slaw. So I wanna keep the seasonings pretty mild and not super specific for either the Thai peanut slaw or the BLT chicken salad. So how I'm gonna season our poaching liquid is with a couple good pinches of salt, 2 bay leaves, pepper. Whole peppercorns would be better. I don't have those right now. So I'm just gonna put some fresh ground pepper in there. Next, we're gonna add 2 shallots. I'm just gonna cut the tops and bottom off so that they stay whole and they'll be easy to fish out. Take the first couple layers of skin off. Now that our chicken is going, we are going to go ahead and wash up all of our fresh produce we have for our 4 salads. When it comes to the chicken, you could buy rotisserie chicken and pull the meat off that and use that instead of actually going through the effort of prepping it yourself. Or you could cook it in the oven or on the stovetop, on the grill. I'm choosing to do it today on the stove in a poaching method because that's how 2 of the recipes we're following said to do it, so that's what I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is get all of my veggies washed so that when we start chopping and prepping all of our goodness, it'll all be ready for us. We're going to be using jalapenos and red and green and yellow bell peppers, fresh citrus, fresh tomatoes, and all the fresh herbs. So many fresh herbs were got for today's cooking. I will link all 4 recipes down below if you're interested in making any of these recipes yourself. They all packed a serious punch of flavor, freshness, crunchiness, and I was really glad to have these meal prepped in the refrigerator, and there was a lot of different options for us, so we were able just to enjoy these salads for lunches and dinner, and it was so good. Now, all of these salads really could stand on their own and be their own meal, or they could definitely make a really good side if you were having a barbecue or something like that and you needed a salad, or if you were going to a potluck or something. All of these are great because they can be made a day or 2 or 3 in advance, and you don't even need to put the dressing on if you want. You could do all the prep and then dress them when you're ready to go to your potluck, or if you're going to have guests over or whatever it might be. But we went ahead and just enjoyed this as meal prep. So now I've got all the produce washed up, we can actually go and make the salads. I'm going to make them one by one, so I will put timestamps down below if you want to watch specific salad recipes. So there might not be any lettuce in these salads, but there is going to be some delicious fresh produce. And this is just some of the produce we're going to be using today. We have red onion, and I've got some cabbage that's already pre-washed and shredded, and some pre-washed and shredded carrots, so I don't even have to do that, which is going to make those salads where we're going to be using those ingredients that much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and come over to our chicken. It's already starting to smell delicious in here. This is actually the first time I have ever poached anything, and so I'm excited to see how this turns out. I think this will be a good consistency for shredded chicken. That's what I want. I want a nice shredded chicken for the two salads we need this for. And I'm just taking this little sieve and I'm going through the top, and I'm just kind of collecting any of that foam that's collecting on the top. I'm gonna dump this, and then we'll make our first salad. These chicken breasts were sliced thinly when I put them in here, so they aren't gonna take very long to cook, I don't think. All right, I think that's good for now. I'm gonna put the lid back on, and let's go make our first salad. For the grinder salad, which is what we're gonna make first, it's gonna be a bean grinder salad, and we are gonna open 2 cans of beans. I have 1 can of cannellini beans and 1 can of garbanzo beans. And I'm gonna open these cans, and then I'm gonna go get these drained and rinsed at the sink. And this is going to be the base of our salad, along with some other really good things as well. You could add whatever kind of white beans you want. I'm using the Great Northern and the chickpea, but you could also use cannellini beans if that's what you have on hand. Next, I'm gonna add some slivered pepperoncinis. I've got a 1/2 pound of salami that I'm going to go ahead and dice up. About a 1/2 cup of pepperoni. I'm just gonna run my knife one way through and then the other way through. Next, we're going to dice 1 red pepper and 1 yellow pepper. To make prepping all of these salads easier, I've got a big compost bowl out, or I should say chicken bowl, because these scraps are gonna go to the chickens, and they are gonna be so happy about it. I want these peppers to be relatively thinly sliced and then diced. The fresh produce that is going to go into the salad are these 2 peppers, and you could use whatever kind of color pepper you like. I used a yellow and a red because I wanted a little bit of color contrast and flavor contrast, but if you only had red peppers, use those, or if you wanted a little bit more of that pepper flavor to come through and not quite as much sweetness, you could do 1 green pepper and 1 red pepper, but I thought the sweetness of the yellow and red would go really well with kind of that really savoriness that the salami and pepperoni have, and then the zip of the pickled pepperoncinis. This salad is so good. So we're going to get our peppers into our bowl, and then the other fresh produce item that's going in here is some red onion, and I'm going to just dice this about the same size as the peppers, and then we're going to get this into the bowl. And then the last thing we need to chop for this before we make the dressing is 1 big bunch of parsley, and that's going to go in there. I like this salad because this would be great for meal prep for lunches because there's no lettuce in it. It holds up really well with the dressing, and parsley holds up really well with dressing. If you don't like parsley, you could, if you want a fresh herb, you could add some green onions instead. That would be good as well. We just have 1 more ingredient to put into our salad, and that is some fresh mozzarella. I have the mini mozzarella balls here, and I want to break these down in half because I think they're just a little too big if I leave them whole. I want everything in this salad to be kind of the same size. So let me get something to scoop those out with. And once we have these mozzarella balls cut in half and in our salad. All we have to do to finish this salad is make our really simple dressing. And you can see how hearty this salad is. It's full of protein and veggies. It's crunchy. It's going to be able to sit in the fridge for a few days. So if you need something easy to prep on the weekend to take to work, this just might be what you need. Or if you're going to a potluck or something, you could easily make this up and make the salad dressing, and you could dress the salad right before you head to the party. But this kind of salad, because the only vegetable in there is the red onion and the peppers, they can totally withstand a little bit of time in the dressing, a couple days, because they can just marinate in that and get crunchy. And it's almost like they quick pickle, because we're gonna be using quite a bit of vinegar in the salad dressing, so they just become crunchy and delicious. You could even use provolone in this if you had provolone. I think that would be really good too. I didn't think about that when I was at the store. I thought mozzarella, but now that I'm making this, I think if you had some diced up provolone, that would be really, really good. This is an 8-ounce package of mozzarella balls. And I think these in half is gonna be perfect. I don't think they need to be any smaller than that. That'll fit really nicely on the fork, along with some vegetables. I didn't want just to have one big bite of mozzarella. I kind of want each bite to have a little bit of everything. So that's why I'm choosing to cut these in half. So let's go ahead and make our dressing for this. There are only a few ingredients in this dressing. The first one being this beautiful basil salt that I made last summer. Basically, I just took fresh basil, salt, threw that in the food processor, blended that up, let it dry on the counter on a cookie sheet for a couple days, jarred it up, and I have basil salt. I'm gonna start with some Dijon mustard, good pinch of our basil salt, a good pinch of black pepper, red wine vinegar, and all of these dressings that I'm gonna be making today, I'm gonna use a high quality olive oil, because you really want to taste that beautiful olive oil flavor in the dressing. So I'm just gonna start whisking, because I want this dressing to emulsify, and that mustard is what is gonna help emulsify the dressing. You can see how our dressing is emulsified, meaning the oil and the vinegar are incorporated into one. The oil and vinegar are not separating, and that is because of the mustard. I'm gonna go ahead and taste this, because now is the easiest time to adjust the seasonings before we actually put it on our salad. I'm thinking it might need about a tablespoon of honey. That is so good. Using a high quality olive oil is really important, because I can taste it and it tastes fantastic. I do think it needs maybe about a teaspoon, a couple teaspoons of honey. I'm gonna give this another taste test. The first time I ever had a really, really good olive oil, Josh and I were out for our anniversary. I think it was like our second or third anniversary, and we went to this restaurant on the Oregon coast in Cannon Beach called EVOO, or Extra Virgin Olive Oil. And this restaurant is so cool. We haven't been there in years. We used to, once we went there for the first time, go every year for our anniversary. And we haven't been since 2020, because you all know what happened that year, and so that kind of got us out of the habit. But this restaurant was a 15-person restaurant. You sat all around where the chef cooked everything. It was a 4-course dinner. He cooked everything right in front of you. I mean, he had a lot of stuff prepped, but it was like a 3-hour event, and he would drizzle all of the main dishes, or like the savory dishes, with olive oil. And it was high quality olive oil. He had gone to Italy and procured the olive oil. And it was the first time Josh and I were like blown away by the flavor of good olive oil. This olive oil was something to the next level. And it was the first time Josh and I were like, oh my gosh, this is how good olive oil can be. And so ever since then, when I'm doing something like this, where you're really gonna taste that olive oil, I try to have a good quality one, because I used to think olive oil tasted kind of gross until I had really good olive oil. So let me grab a spoon, and I wanna taste this salad with all the goodies. We've got our cheese and our veggies and our salami and our dressing. I'm glad I only put a drizzling of honey, because the red peppers are so sweet and delicious. This is a fantastic salad. This would be perfect for any potluck, any meal prep, anything you need a delicious salad for. So I'm gonna get this in a pretty bowl, and we're gonna check on our chicken, because I think our chicken is ready to come out. And here it is, salad number 1. This is so yummy. I hope you give it a try. So this has just lightly been simmering here while we prep the first salad. I want to check to see if it's tender, because I need to be able to shred it, and that looks nice and tender. So I think what I'm going to do is turn the stove off. It smells so good. I'm going to transfer this chicken to just this bowl, because I need this to cool before I can shred it. Let me just make sure now that I have it out of the bowl, it's still tender. Oh yeah. I think cooking it with the shallots is the way to go. The recipe didn't say to do that, but that's what I had upstairs instead of a white onion. I didn't have white onions up here. And shallots kind of have like a sweeter flavor than regular onions. And I think that is what is making it smell so incredibly good. Now, I'm certainly not gonna throw this broth out. This is beautiful chicken broth. I'm not gonna use it today because we're making salads, but I will strain this broth out, and we're gonna be making pho later this week, and I'll probably use this broth to start making my broth for pho, because it already has some of the ingredients we need for it. So we're just gonna let this cool while we make our vegetarian bean corn salad. Unlike the last salad, we are gonna actually start with the dressing with this corn and bean salad. Basically what we're making is Cowboy caviar. And I actually like to make a salad dressing for this, because we're gonna be putting avocados into it. And the salad dressing, if you make that at the bottom of your bowl, dice up your avocados, put that on top and mix that together. That's gonna prevent your avocados from turning brown. So in my bowl, I have garlic and about 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm gonna add lemon juice, salt, that's the basil salt. I thought that would be really good in this. Smoked paprika, cumin, coriander, and you could add crushed red pepper flakes if you wanted, but I'm gonna leave those out because I'm gonna be adding a jalapeno, and I wanna make sure I don't make this too spicy. My garlic is frozen, so it's just gonna take a minute to thaw. But I'm gonna start whisking together my spices and my honey and my lemon juice. And I'm gonna whisk in some olive oil. That'll only take a second to thaw. While I dice up our avocado, that should be thawed enough that I can mix that thoroughly together. And we don't need these spices, I don't think, any longer, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these put away. Maybe we'll need them again. I just bought these avocados yesterday, so I hope that they have a good ripeness to them. Yeah, that's perfect. So I'm just going to dice them in their skin. My garlic is nice and dissolved, so So I'm going to take my avocado and just spoon it into that dressing. You can either spoon it or you can kind of squish it out like that. Now I want to coat my avocado in that dressing because it's got that lemon juice and that'll help from the avocado oxidizing on us. I just tasted this dressing to make sure it didn't need any seasoning adjustments. If you just taste the dressing on its own, it's got a lot of flavor. We're going to add a lot of veggies to it, but that is so good. And that is another really good salad that you can make ahead and bring to parties. But first we need to finish making it because it's just started. So I need to drain and rinse 2 cans of black beans, and I've got some frozen corn here. I'm gonna go ahead and strain that too, just because it's frozen, it has a little water because I threw that in my refrigerator last night to thaw, just to make sure we don't have any excess liquid in our salad. I'm gonna drain this corn. This corn is so good. This is corn I bought from a local farmer last summer, and I blanched and froze, and it tastes incredible. And then these 2 jars of black beans are actually homegrown black beans that I grew in last year's garden. These are the rest of the ingredients that are gonna go in there. I've got 1 bunch of cilantro, a green pepper. Now, normally I would use a red pepper for this, but I only have 1 more red pepper and I wanna use that for the Tide peanut slaw. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use a green pepper instead, a whole jalapeno, a small red onion, a bunch of green onions, and about half of these cherry tomatoes. Now, all of these recipes really can be adapted to what your family likes to eat. If you don't like cilantro, because I know that that is something that not everybody enjoys, you could substitute by adding maybe a half a bunch of fresh parsley or leave it out altogether. If you don't like tomatoes, leave those out, add a few extra peppers, or in the last recipe, like if you don't like garbanzo beans, just add 2 cans of Great Northern beans. Really, there's no exact science when it comes to these types of salads and what should and shouldn't go into them. It's really just whatever you prefer. I do like to try to have a lot of fresh herbs in my salads, especially these kind of make-ahead salads, because it just makes it so good. And I like to have a good balance of crunch, vinegar, and a touch of sweetness. That's my favorite, and I crave these types of meals this time of year. I just absolutely can't get enough. I need my bench scraper because I don't want to run my knife along my cutting board. That. And it does help if you're gonna prep a lot like I am today to get everything pre-washed, so once you get to chopping on something, you're not going back and forth having to wash stuff and go back. And it does help to have a compost bowl. Rachel Ray can be thanked for that. I always like to have a compost bowl out, or a chicken bowl, so I'm not running to the garbage can or running back and forth to wherever I need to put my veggie scraps. When it comes to green onions, I use both the greens and the whites. I know some people prefer just the greens and some just the whites, but I like both parts. I think they add a different texture and a different flavor, but I do remove the tops and the bottoms. I should probably put my compost bowl even closer to me. With the jalapeno, I did leave the seeds in. I tasted the jalapeno and it's not spicy, so I thought I would go ahead and leave that in since I didn't add the red pepper flakes to the dressing. Now, I am a little bit weird when it comes to these types of salads. This is something I would greatly enjoy to eat for breakfast. I love salads for breakfast. I don't know why I always have. Salads have always been kind of one of my favorite foods. when I was in school, I was homeschooled until high school, and then I went to high school. And so when I was in high school, I would come home from school on parts of the year that I was not in swim team. And my after school snack would always be a big salad. It was either a Caesar salad or it was a salad with teriyaki grilled chicken that my mom had made like the night before or something like that, cheese, and there was this French dressing that I used to love, but I cannot find it anymore. And that makes me really sad because it was so, so good. And that's what I used to have for my after school snack all the time. And I know these are not lettuce salads, but they add the crunch and the vinegar flavor that I like from a good salad. Whenever I make Caesar salads, I always like to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar to it. I kind of drizzle it on the top because I like that little bit of extra vinegar on my salads. So I'm probably not going to use half of that. I'm probably using about, I don't know, maybe a third of those tomatoes. That's probably good. You could leave these whole too if you like that pop of tomato from a cherry tomato. You could certainly do that. Or you could use Roma tomatoes or whatever kind of tomatoes you like when it is not tomato season, because it's still early spring. It's not tomato season around here yet. I like using cherry tomatoes because I think they kind of pack more of that tomato flavor than a slicing tomato this time of year. So that is our salad right here. Now we just need to mix the salad together. I was looking for a spoon. Then we get to give the whole thing a taste test. I can smell those tomatoes and they smell incredible. They're adding a nice little red pop of color. I'm gonna just carefully kind of mix this together because I do have the avocados at the bottom of the bowl and I don't wanna smash the avocados, but I wanna get that dressing thoroughly incorporated into this salad. Oops. I think a spatula is gonna do better than that wooden spoon. I want to give this a little taste test before we dish it up. I want to make sure I have a little bit of everything. This has the most perfect balance of heat and sweet and crunchy and soft. So yummy. Here is salad number 2, and it did not disappoint. This was the first one to go. It was delicious. Now this salad can be a main course, like how we're gonna have it. This is just meal prep, and we'll eat this for lunch. So you could, the way that I'll probably eat it, I'll put it in a bowl, dollop of sour cream, hot sauce on the top, and you can eat it with a spoon, which is delicious. You could eat it with chips. It could be a side, so you could grill up some chicken or some steak or something like that, and this could be a side for that. This, again, is perfect for meal prep, barbecue, potluck, whatever it might be. So I'm gonna pop this in the fridge. The next salad we're gonna make is the BLT chicken salad, which I'm really looking forward to. Now this one does have some veggies, but not as much as the last two we just made, and not as much as the one we're gonna make after this one. But this one would be perfect on its own, or I think it would be really good served if you wanna keep it on the lighter side over a big bed of lettuce, which I think would be delicious. The first thing I'm gonna do is chop up some bacon for the BLT chicken salad. And here I've got pre-cooked bacon that I like to keep in my freezer so that when I need bacon, all I have to do is reheat it. You can either reheat it in an air fryer or microwave for about 3 or 4 minutes. It's crispy, it's perfect. You don't have to go through the effort of cooking it. So the first thing I need to do for our chicken salad is actually shred the chicken. This is the poached chicken we made earlier that we're gonna use for 2 of our chicken recipes. And there's all sorts of different ways you can shred chicken. I've seen it in the KitchenAid, I've seen it with a hand mixer, I have seen special chicken shredder devices. I'm just gonna go in here and shred it by hand because I like to have the pieces a little bit bigger than what the KitchenAid does. I don't want that fine of pieces. So I'm just gonna do it by hand. This chicken looks really, really good. I'm happy with how it looks for being poached because I had never poached anything before. So I've poached things. I've never poached chicken before to make shredded chicken. So this is gonna be really convenient to have this. I went ahead already and I diced up green onions, red onions that we're gonna need for the next 2 salads. The red pepper we're gonna need for the next salad, and the tomatoes we need for this salad. So all the veggie prep is now done for me. So this is all the chicken we're gonna need for our BLT chicken salad. While I'm shredding chicken, I'm gonna go ahead and just shred the rest of this chicken for our Thai coleslaw. That way it's done and I don't have to think about it again. For the dressing, I'm gonna go ahead and make it in a separate bowl first so I can adjust the seasonings as needed. It'll just be a little bit easier when it comes to mixing everything. So I'm gonna start with Greek yogurt to make this just a little bit lighter. And then we're gonna go in with mayonnaise, whatever your favorite kind of mayonnaise is. I'm gonna use that basil salt again just because I think that's gonna be so good in this. I haven't been using it that much and I need to start using it more. Black pepper. I have some paprika and a little bit of fresh garlic. So we're gonna mix that together. It already looks beautiful. I'm gonna give that a little taste test. That's so good. I'm glad I've been using that basil salt today because it is good and I have not been using it enough. So I'm gonna add my dressing to my chicken. If you didn't want to do this in a separate bowl, you certainly don't have to. I thought it would just be easier to mix it all up before we added our chicken, our green onions. I'm only adding half of the green onions because we're going to use the other half for the next recipe. Same with the red onions. All these tomatoes. And all of our nice crunchy bacon. Here it goes. I have a little bit of everything in this bite. Oh, how I wish I had some spring mix to put this on. That would be incredible. So I know later today, when I run into town, I'm gonna be picking up a box of spring mix because this on top of that, the crunch of the bacon, the creaminess of the dressing, and the pop from the tomato is incredible. Now I do think this needs a little bit more salt. I wanted to be a little conservative with the salt because the bacon, but I think it needs a little bit more. So I'm gonna mix that in. And now we can get our BLT chicken salad into our bowl. And that is some pretty delicious stuff right there. If you meal prep this salad for your family, they will ask you to make it again and again. And if you make it for yourself, you will be craving it again and again. So now I'm gonna pop that in the fridge and we're gonna make our Thai peanut coleslaw with chicken. This is the one I've been looking forward to the most because I love anything peanut sauce. For our peanut dressing, we're gonna start with peanut butter. I like creamy, a little bit of water. I'm gonna mix this together with garlic, ginger, soy sauce, some hot sauce, and some rice wine vinegar. I'm only gonna put a tiny pinch of salt and a good pinch of pepper, and then I'm gonna whisk this together until it's nice and smooth. I think I'm gonna add some toasted sesame oil, because I just love sesame oil. I'm basing this off my mom's peanut recipe, which I don't have it written in front of me. I will link it down below along with all these other recipes. She is currently unavailable, so I couldn't get the recipe from her, but it's pretty similar to this. I know her recipe is fantastic because it is the peanut dressing that I crave when I want peanut slaw like this. That needs a little sweetness. That was probably about a tablespoon of honey. Now this, I think, is more dressing than I need. So I'm gonna taste this first. Oh, perfect. But then I'm gonna transfer it to a different bowl so that we can put all our ingredients in, and then I can pour this over the top and make sure I get a good ratio of our vegetables and our chicken to our dressing. Now, one thing I did to make this really easy, this is what my mom always does when she makes this slaw, is you pick up a package of coleslaw mix. This has carrots, red cabbage, green cabbage, and it's already chopped up, sliced up, and you don't have to go through the effort. So I went ahead and took a note out of my mom's notebook, I guess, I don't know. And I got a bag of coleslaw mix and a bag of shredded carrots. Probably don't need that whole bag. I'm gonna put half that bag of shredded carrots in there. And then we've got our red onions that I diced up earlier. So we can just get our vegetables in here. So that's our red bell pepper. Then we've got our green onions. And then we've got our shredded chicken. Now that everything is going into this bowl, I'm thinking I am gonna use all of that dressing, but I didn't want to have to use it all if I didn't need it. Looks like this last little piece of chicken didn't get fully shredded. If you want this to be more like a side, because my mom usually makes this as a side when she makes different dinners, is we don't put chicken in it. So chicken is kind of making it into more of like a main course, a lunch prep, or for me, I'll probably eat this again for breakfast. And then I'm gonna get one whole bunch of cilantro in here. My chickens are gonna be thrilled with all the veggie scraps they're getting today. I'm gonna be so happy to go out there and give it to them. Oh, cilantro is one of my favorites. I know so many of you don't enjoy cilantro. I just love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. I could probably put twice this much cilantro in there and be just fine with it. I'm gonna go ahead and chop on the same cutting board because it's all going in here. Probably about a half a cup of peanuts. These are toasted salted peanuts because I kind of want that salted crunch. But if you didn't want to use the toasted salted, you don't have to. I just like the crunch this adds. It adds a good flavor and texture. This is a very crunchy salad because we've got those big shredded carrots. We have the peppers that are gonna add a nice crunch. The chicken adds a little bit of a soft texture. And then you've got the salty, sweet peanut sauce that has a little bit of that rice wine vinegar that gives you that vinegar zip that I love. I am someone who loves vinegar. We as kids would eat so many dill pickles and we would drink pickle juice, which I know is a bit odd, but we loved it. Let me know if any of you guys drank pickle juice when you were a kid. I'm adding all this dressing. I can already tell that with the amount of chicken and vegetables we have, we're gonna need all this dressing. What I normally do when I make this dressing, I normally double it and then just put half of it in the fridge just for other dishes because it is that good. So here we have all 4 of our salads. The first one we made, to recap, is our grinder salad with beans. We have our Cowboy caviar, peanut Thai chicken salad, and our BLT chicken salad. All 4 of these salads are fantastic on their own, or they can make a fantastic side or dish to bring to a potluck or whatever you need. A delicious hearty salad that can be made ahead and it can be prepped and ready for you. These are all delicious. I will definitely be making every single one of these again. They are hearty, they are protein filled, most of them have tons of veggies, a lot of crunch, an extreme amount of flavor, and anybody in your family, if you make them, will ask you to make them again and again. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day as we made these 4 salads. If you want any of these recipes, they will be linked down in the description box. And if you want to watch a few of my other videos between now and my next upload, I'll pop those right here. If you're new, please consider subscribing. We do lots of cooking and canning and organizing and gardening and all things home and food related, and we just have a lot of fun around here. If you are returning, thanks again for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, friend.